Unmuted. Sorry,
Unmuted.
everyone. Taking
better.
too many boxes. Can you hear us now?
All right, so what did we miss out on? Okay, well, saying, welcome. It's another Friday. It's been a big week.
Indeed.
So those that can lip read, you would have known that already. But we had the velodrome, and that was on last Saturday. That was really good. Good fun.
Yeah.
And we had a live from there. So if you want to see the live, you can see that on our YouTube channel. It's a bit of fun. We look at quite a few cars. A bit of carnage going on. But fun is the main aspect. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
So, lots of speed. So we have some really good runs and some not so good runs.
That's part of it,
Some classic car had some explosions. So Aaron had a bit of an explosion of his super prototype.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I think Jeremy with his six-wheeler had an explosion as well from memory.
Yeah, you lost a wheel, but I mean, it's four-wheel drive. It did go around pretty well.
Absolutely.
The front end folded up a bit, but it still went. And
That's
it will survive for another day. So we'll see that in the future too.
Absolutely. So it was good fun, but some big speeds. I think we got way over the 130, 140 k's an hour for some of the guys.
Cars, yes.
So I think for us, there is scope to go a lot faster. Unfortunately, we haven't done much development. So we are running the same car that we run off-road, on-road. Yep. So it's very stock. So that's a good way to actually go about this. It's a stock car that can run off-road.
Yes.
We change tires, lower it a little bit, and we can put it on the road.
Yep.
So that's a testament that you don't need to spend $1 million to go 110 k's an hour, which is a remarkable speed.
Yep.
I guess if we were to, put in a bit more work, we could get it hopefully to 140, 150.
I think the issue with your particular car is it needs more legs. We can gear it up.
That's right.
Because it's pretty much stock standard off the shelf.
That's right.
Racing stuff. It's not speed stuff.
Correct.
And then from there, I think the other issue would be aerodynamics. I had aerodynamic problems. Try to go full speed and then I'll just fly. The other thing I think we can work on is actual setup, because when we hit the corners, we're actually scrubbing off a lot of speed.
Yes. So my car is very low, and whilst it's very stable, you can see it's all shaved on one side. The chassis is really, really shiny now. So I think it's probably 3, 4, 5 millimeter too low. But I think the setup is really good. It just needs to be fine tuning.
Yep.
So as you go faster, there'll be even more compression. So it will be a bit of work to do there. But all in all, wow,
it's like good fun though.
I think so. So the hot bodies, I think, buggies were some of the really best car out there. Really, not the fastest, but the most stable one. So definitely the one that we think we can put more speed. Your car was on this time around.
Thank you very much. The theory was all there for last time. I had the gearing. So the gearing was the biggest change I did on it. And then I couldn't wind it out because something mechanically was going wrong. So a few tweaks. We went to two-wheel drive rather than four-wheel drive.
Yep.
Different body.
Yep.
Stiffened up the front end a lot more.
Yep.
And it was pretty much on. So
I think we put different tires as well, did we?
That's right.
Some softer tires.
Yes. So there was harder tires on the front, softer at the rear. Had them heated up too.
That's right.
With tire warmers.
Big change.
Yeah.
I think last time the challenge was getting the temperature on the tires, and the car was all skaty. You had problems here before you could actually get to that point.
From memory, it was a much colder day last time.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So very successful. I think your car was on fire.
Yeah. It gives me confidence to keep working on it.
I think so. I think that car definitely have legs. I think we need to work on the body. I think it needs to be lower at the front because it's catching too much wind.
Yes. Maybe an undertrail of some kind.
Yeah. So exciting. So if you have any videos, you feel free to even send it over to us. We can do some more posts and just keep this going for the next run. I don't know, maybe in 6 months or so.
Yes.
Whenever it's planned, I don't know. Anyway, that was for the velodrome.
Yep.
Now, what have we got here?
We've got car of the week, which is not a car.
Nah, definitely not. No wheels.
It's a diorama of the week. So you probably can't see very much of it there, but we'll pull it back where it's in focus. All right. So here we go. This is the quiz for today. Diorama of the week. So this is something that's been put together.
Are you?
I did it a while ago. Now it is powered and it's got LEDs in it, but I haven't got them active at the moment. So it's got the flashy lights on the front of its head and stuff. So what we need to know is what animation is this from? The production studio, which is pretty famous. And then if you can, the names of the characters.
That'd be really cool. I don't know, actually.
You don't know?
I'm sure you said that several times, but
I can barely remember, but I think I remember. So here we go. All right, that's probably going to give you a better angle. And this is from a particular scene too, so if you can name the scene.
Even better.
Yeah. All right, so
try to show, once we guess what it is, we're going to show some close up with this. Because this is phenomenal, the amount of details on this diorama. So stay with us and we'll have a look at it later.
Yep.
So past the velodrome.
Yep.
Past the car of the day.
Yes.
Today we're going to talk about RC car inserts.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a science there.
There is. I think it's one of those things that not many people talk about. It's always been a thing in racing.
Yeah.
You know, with the inserts. On road a while ago, there used to be all the different kinds of inserts, and everyone used to try them. Yeah. But what do the different inserts do? So that's what we're just going to explore here and try to explain what they actually do.
Correct.
Because actually, some of you out there who aren't into RC probably would never know there were inserts inside them. Because a long time ago with Tamiya, they didn't have inserts. It was just empty. They called them semi-pneumatic tires.
That's right.
Because they weren't pumped up. They just had the air that was in them.
That's right. And on the opposite side, there may be someone there who has been playing with inserts for a long time, and there'll be a lot more that we don't know. So
yes,
we'll talk about that with Brett in a little bit.
Yep.
Then what else do we have? We've got some Gundams.
Yeah, I guess we're quite a lot of new kits come through.
Yes.
So not always new, but we've got restocks. So you can see one of the restocks up there. So that's what I officially call the wasabi. I don't know if it's spicy or anything. I haven't licked one, but that's what we always call it. Then we've got a whole heap of other aircraft too, which are really good. And there's a nice bike.
It's a nice bike. Brett,
that'll be his
bike.
domain.
So you won't be able to say anything. He's all prepared.
Yeah, that's right.
So shall we start from some kits?
You want to look at some kits? All right.
I'll play with these in the meantime.
Are you just going to play with that? I'll talk about kits. All right.
So is there a video out of this yet? There'll be a video soon.
There will be a video coming out. It'll be coming out next week. So Brett's going to talk about how the new 10PX radio works.
Yeah.
I think he binds it and talks about its features.
So for those that were not here last week, we presented the new Futaba 10PX.
Yes.
Brand new 10-channel radio for, I guess, remote control car mostly, or even boats, for matter of fact.
Yes.
Lots of new features. So we showed that last week. So you can pop back in the live and have a look at it again, and then Brett will have a full-on review.
So this is a new top-shelf radio.
Yes.
It's new compared to the previous model, which is a 7PX. So the 7, of course, is for 7 channels. And then 10PX, of course, has got the 10 channels. And it's got that sort of Android look on it. It actually looks like a mobile phone on the top there.
On the radio.
It looks like a mini tablet.
That's right.
Touch screen. And it comes with a lot of features. The main difference is the protocol, the transmitting protocol.
Right.
So the protocol can send a lot more information to the receiver and can also program servos wirelessly, whereas the previous one had to be wired in. So a few fine features like that.
So we will talk more about this.
Yes.
But this is an exclusive, so this is not yet for sale. So we've been very lucky to have a sample from Futaba Australia to actually learn a bit more and be able to bring it to you. So keep it on YouTube. We'll have a full video coming very soon.
So next week will be the first video, and then we'll have additionals as well.
Absolutely. So, cool. So kits,
what should we look at? Well, how about we'll just look at the Suzuki first. So
yes.
It's not something really new, so I'll only show you the box here. Okay, so you've seen these before. We've had them before. And this is the master grade version of the Suzuki. And this would have been what was considered the best version of the Suzuki at the time. And then the real grade small one came out, which was pretty good too, but that's small.
Yes.
This one's still big.
Yes.
So even though this one's probably not as refined as the small one, it's still a beautiful kit. And you can see the size of the box. I mean, the Suzuki's are just mega chunky.
It is.
See some of the details here as well. They look really cool. Real bad guy. Okay, so classic kit, highly sought after. It's just one of those kits where, I mean, they release heaps of Gundam every year. It's one of the ones that everyone keeps coming back for.
That's it. Yeah, I agree.
It's one of those. Okay, so totally different. Let's go. We've got a whole heap of interesting aircraft. The thing about aircraft is I don't know much about these.
Kinetic.
I'm not really familiar with
F-16.
Yeah, so this is
that I or L? I.
That's an I. So this is an Israeli modified F-16. And it's got lots of extra bits just hanging off it. It's just like it's the epitome of getting whatever you have there and just making it better.
That's right.
And not thinking about how pretty it is. Okay, so you've got these massive extra tanks across the top here. Okay, a bit like on the F-15E where they just slap things on the side.
That's it.
So it's got a slight aerodynamic shape, and then it's got all these different sensors. Where am I going? Over here. Where's the nose? Right there.
Let's put the top camera.
like
There we
that.
go.
So I'll zoom it out a bit.
Yes,
So it's quite
fuel,
amazing.
It's a big fuel tank, isn't it?
Yes. So,
It's huge.
And you see there's a machine gun there. Okay, so there's a Gatling gun.
Yep.
And then
Look at the armament seems to be a lot
yeah,
heavier
so
than
you got
normal.
massive laser guided weapons here. You see there's all sorts of bits. So the bits hanging off this intake for the jet. You've got all these bits here. And the F-16 is actually not a very big aircraft, but this is a massive box. And if I just lift the top off it, you probably get an idea.
This is in 1/48 scale, actually.
Yes. So even 1/48 scale,
full.
it is pretty compact, right? So this gives you an idea of the size of the aircraft. So there's a fuselage, right? Okay, so this will sit on top of there. All right, so overall length will be about 30 centimeters, really compact, but is jam-packed full of stuff. Okay, so you've got these, there's the additional parts here. Okay, there's those add-on tanks on the sides. And then you've got engine detail, nozzles, there's a whole heap of clear parts. I mean, just for one aircraft.
It's a lot, isn't
That's
it?
a lot. Okay, so that's
Definitely.
also all the lenses for the lights, all the navigation lights and such, and all those sensors. We've got engine detail, and then we've got a whole massive thing here, and bits of armaments.
Some light grey parts. I wonder if it's a different material, just a different color.
Yeah, it would be, because that's probably an additional part which you've just molded separately from the kit. So it is an amazing kit.
So with Kinetic, my observation is that they often have this bit more, let's not call it obscure, but like not mainstream plane with lots of extra detail and some really nice,
absolutely,
finishing, I suppose.
So you can see, maybe from here, it's out of focus, is it? All right, let's try and get that there. So you get an idea of the aircraft there. So it looks like a twin-seater.
Yeah.
Sort of longer cockpit and canopy. And the amazing thing about the Israelis is they do a lot of work.
That's right.
Getting stuff.
Now I'm noticing there, so weapon set includes, so there is a weapon set included, so that's extra bits.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
That's lots of stuff. 600-gallon tank. See, that's probably the extra bit that we saw on the side.
Yes, that's right. That pod. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that this kit was done in a standard version by them, and then they add additional detail.
Yeah, as they do quite often. Yeah. So quite amazing. I mean, Kinetic kits are really, really nice. I mean, there's some reviews out there that say, look, they don't fit absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of kits out there that aren't going to be as well fitting as Tamiya, but you have to remember that the Tamiya kits won't have as much detail as this either, because they sort of push this to the point where there are some limitations within the engineering.
That's right.
So it's not really for beginners, as you can see by the number of parts.
That's right.
For advanced builders or expert builders, and you just got to spend a little bit of extra time, make sure that all the bits fit, and end up with some amazing stuff. So I think sometimes they cop a bad rap, but they do a really good job. And particularly something like this is really interesting.
There's probably lots of thinking involved when you actually work on a kit like this. It's not just like go.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of people would, on a Tamiya kit, you go step by step in the
Follow
instructions.
Yeah.
Stuff like this, you'll study the instructions, look at all the parts, test fit, and then make sure it's perfect.
I guess one thing we should say, that when you buy a kit, you should always inspect all the screws anyway. So
yes, that's right.
So we had a situation where parts were missing. So it's always good that you, before you even touch it, you put all the screws out, have a look, compared to the instructions, and that process will help you to start planning the kit.
That's right.
Now, FX or Tamiya is probably easier because there's lesser parts and it's very fluid as from an instruction perspective. But more advanced kit like this will be really helpful to start focusing on how you're going to build it.
For sure. So if you've looked at any of my video reviews, I always talk about in the manual the legend of the parts.
Yes.
And so that's where they have the silhouettes of the sprues. So from there, just make sure you quickly go through all the bits, have a quick look to make sure that they're all there. Quite honestly, it's very rare that you have any issues with kits these days.
That's it.
But it's best to check anyway.
That's right.
Because once you're in the middle of it, there's no way of making a claim.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just a simple thing you go through. Something like this probably take you half an hour to check everything.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can start planning and building.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it's good. So that's a Kinetic. Apart from that, I've got something different again. Right, so this one's from Kitty Hawk. Okay, same sort of thing. They get sort of bad rap too. This particular one is a SU-27 UB, pretty much in the news now about, particularly with the conflict that's going on. So SU-27 UBs, I think the latest thing was whether or not the Ukrainians were using these particular aircraft, which are normally seen as training aircraft,
right,
in a combat role. And there's a little bit of a debate about what's going on, but I can't see why they wouldn't be using these if they had them there.
Yeah.
If they need to defend the country, then they'll be using them.
Use anything really.
Yep. So again, really thick box. Similar sort of thing. This one's all sealed up, so I'm not going to open this one. But I think these are really interesting looking aircraft.
Lots of details on this, and if you quickly put on the top camera again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oop. There we go. Just look at on the carriage, the level of detail, the amount of parts that'll be involved actually to produce all this.
I really like the aesthetics of this particular aircraft. So when we're talking about military aircraft, we've got to be, I guess, firm in letting everyone know that it's not because we love war.
That's right.
It's all aesthetics, right? So we're talking about the aerodynamics, and it's just a boy sort of thing.
The technology and the complexity.
That's right. So it's just this. I mean, for Russian design, this particular organic shape here is just something that's really fascinated me compared to the US aircraft.
I agree
that it's sort of classed up against.
I would even point out the color, and it's interesting to.
Yes.
I wonder why this is this light blue color compared to traditional, more silver brown grain. I guess.
Yes.
So light blue. I'm not an expert, so I wouldn't be able to judge it. But it's interesting that even the different liveries here.
Yeah. That's interesting too, isn't it?
Yeah, so you got this one. I guess this will be more training, isn't it? With this kind of, I don't know actually.
Yeah, I don't know. This could be a show aircraft.
Show aircraft.
Then these are actually combat type.
So very different colors to what we're used to for a.
So this particular shape here, this is the part that I really like.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just really smooth.
And then on the back here, you've got lots of stuff on the carriage here.
Yes.
Jeez,
and these are quite often seen examples of how difficult it is to make them look realistic, because all this back section is actually raw metal finish. It's like a burnt titanium.
Right.
And to get that right, it's quite a bit tricky.
They're kind of exhaust.
Yeah, so there's all this area here.
Yeah.
Because if they painted that, it all burns off anyway.
That's right.
So yeah. So that's
brilliant.
Really nice.
Interesting.
So that's the SU-27. Okay. So that's a Kitty Hawk kit. And then we've got something different again.
Mang.
So this is an EA-18G, which is a growler. So this is an aircraft which is based on the F-18 Hornet,
right,
which Australia already operate, and they've taken delivery of these as well. So this is an electronic warfare version. And I think Dan's going to have a closer look at this next week.
So this is a Boeing actually. So this aircraft is made by Boeing actually. I didn't know.
I think over time, some of the companies had changed hands and such.
Yeah.
So initially, I don't think it was Boeing. I think it was who did F-18s? Can't remember. Someone will tell me. Dan will know for sure. He loves these things. So again, you can see how thick these boxes are. So these three different brands, similar sort of ideals when it comes to getting really good detail. They're believers in getting more parts than trying to make a single part really highly detailed.
Yeah.
You've got the advantages of smaller parts have a lot more depth.
That's right.
Downside is you're going to have to clean up a little bit more because you've got the more seams.
That's it.
But if you go through all that, you end up with really nice.
Phenomenal kit.
Yeah.
And again, lots of parts in this big box.
So thick. Okay, again, so that's a 48 scale. And F-18, not being that big either.
Right.
So it's going to be slightly bigger than a F-16.
Captain Aspeny suggests is a McDonnell Decals. Yeah.
Oh, initially? Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. So yeah, so this is a Boeing version. So
interesting.
Somehow Boeing have gone into it. Okay, so we've got that one. And then,
more.
Yep, another brand again. Okay, so Great Wall Hobby. Great Wall Hobby is a similar sort of, I guess you sort of categorize them a bit like the Eastern European brands.
Yep.
You know, you got a lot of the Czech, Polish, Ukrainian type brands. And then these are the sort of, well, the ones I've shown you, Kinetic, Kitty Hawk, Great Wall Hobby.
China, isn't it?
That's a Chinese type high-level kits. So whereas the Eastern Europeans tend to do quite a few multimedia kits. So multimedia is where they mix up the materials, not just plastic, but sometimes resin parts and photo etch. This is where these companies do it as well. So you always get photo etch, and they tend to always use really good decals now too. If they get cartographed to print them initially. And this is quite unusual. A T-33, so sort of early, I guess, like 50s, 60s jet technology. So they've got that interesting aesthetic where it's not super dark looking like SU-27, where it evolved to. This is pretty much like they've gone out of a propeller-driven plane.
Right.
And, you know, like the MiG-15 was basically just a jet engine with a bit of stuff added to it. So this is where they're starting to streamline it and incorporate it a bit more. So it's quite interesting there. Okay, so that's 48 scale as well. Now I've got a heap more. All right, Great Wall again, and we'll go a bit more modern. This is a MiG 29.
Very sophisticated again.
Yes. Okay, you might just on the side here they indicate some of the photo etch. So it's a fairly big sheet of photo etch. A couple of sheets of decals. So rather than the old days where you get a basic kit, which you'll still have to do like with a Tamiya or FX kit, you buy extra resin, extra photo etch. Quite a lot of it's already included. So when you look at it in that aspect, they're pretty good value. A lot of stuff's already added, and you'll get a really challenging kit to build.
Great.
So really nice. Yeah.
Mostly 48 scale for today, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So,
and then I think I'll finish off with not this
special.
one. I've got. We'll look at this. Look at this one later.
Huge box coming out.
All right, this one here. This is pretty spectacular.
Flying Tigers.
So the Flying Tigers were actually American pilots that flew from China during the Second World War.
Right.
So they helped the Chinese during their fight with the Japanese during the Second World War. And I'm not too sure about the history, but there was a very famous raid called the Doolittle Raid. And that's after Pearl Harbor, the US felt they needed to do something and show the Japanese that they could be fought on their own turf as well. Because at the time, the Japanese thought they were invincible. They already made that huge move and they were on the upper hand. And Doolittle got these B-25 bombers, massive things, loaded them up onto some aircraft carriers in the Pacific. They launched off, just barely launching off.
Right.
They went over Tokyo, bombed Tokyo.
Yeah.
They couldn't go back to the carriers, and they wouldn't have been able to land anyway. So they landed in China.
Right.
And then the Japanese were so upset that they went out there and tried to track down all these people.
Interesting.
And the people that they caught didn't cope very well.
Yeah.
But
can you imagine?
But it was a successful raid, so it was amazing. So the Flying Tigers, I think, had something to do with coming after that.
Yeah.
You had Allied soldiers pilots going into China, operating Allied aircraft, but under the guise of the Flying Tigers. So not too sure why, but on the box art, they've got the stars, the insignia. They've actually been blurred out. So I don't know if that's a particular thing going on there. But it's interesting. They've got the Japanese aircraft here being shot down.
Yep.
And this is of a Curtiss Hawk. And it's a bigger scale, 1/32 scale. But super nice. Like all the engine detail is on inside here, so you can take off the cowlings and photo etch. And it's got a really nice pilot figure too. So I don't know if you can see that. That's it. All the bits. Is it pilot figure? So you can see how they're sort of 3D. Yep. 3D engineered. Yeah. And you can see all the engine detail. You've got all the lines in the tire. So super nice. Really complicated cockpit there as well. So that's Great Wall Hobby. So not always available. When we get them in, I mean, they're always really interesting. And a real challenge to build.
Indeed.
Yep. So I've got more kits, but we'll get those a bit later. So Brett's going to show one of those. I've got another one later.
Where's Brett?
Don't know.
I know.
We got any takers for this yet?
No, I think this is a bit of actually, meanwhile, Warwick is suggesting that plane. Which one was it?
Which one? The Flying Tigers one?
No, the one from Boeing. It was actually made originally by General Dynamics.
Oh, okay. General Dynamics, was it?
Yeah.
Dynamically dynamic.
Who's that?
Pedro.
Pedro, come in, Pedro.
Hello.
Which one's Pedro?
No, he's called Pedro, isn't it?
I thought it was you.
Is he Spanish?
See.
Where's he from? Hi guys. How are we today?
Yeah, good. He's from a floating city.
How does he float? It looks like he's made of.
No, he doesn't float. He doesn't float, but
the gravity is floating city.
He likes picking flowers.
There's a castle in the sky. Yeah, he picks a flower.
He mustn't have much gravity on there. He looks quite heavy.
What does he does?
The flower is heavy.
So you see how he's got all the moss growing on him? This is because he's been inactive for a while.
How do you know?
Because he's my mate.
Oh. Is his name Pedro?
So it's called Pedro.
Could be.
Doesn't look like a Pedro.
He's not very good mates if you don't know his name.
Well, I just know him by sight. You don't need to call each other by name and be good friends.
Oh, all right.
It's all about mutual respect.
That's it. So what we're trying to know is, what scene is this? What diorama is this? And
So
what movie is from, right?
Yeah.
It's a scene from a very famous animation movie.
Yeah.
So Japanese, from a very famous Japanese animation studio. I think most people that are into animation would know, but I guess people watching probably don't.
And it's a commercially available.
It is.
kit.
It is. It is.
Also, the little ones, are they all coming in one kit or they're multiple
So
kits?
this was actually there's 2 kits involved here. So there's 2 versions of the robot. So
Yeah.
there's this one's the passive version, and then there's the attack version as well. And he's got all these spikes hanging off
He
him.
looks too friendly to attack.
Yeah, well he is friendly. So he in the movie he's officially called the gardener because he's looking after the garden. He's handing the flower over.
Don't give it away.
Sorry. And then there's the figures. So you get 1 figure per version. So that's where I got the 2 figures together.
Wow.
But this figure's been modified, so I added the hair. He's normally wearing the cap.
Oh, wow.
Like me.
Yeah.
Like to wear a hat.
So that's Milliput.
That's you.
Milliput.
Million.
Milliput.
Oh,
hair.
wow.
Milliput hair.
So you fully sculpted that.
I reckon we could put Milliput on your hair.
Oh, feel pretty heavy, wouldn't it? What do I do? Try to scratch my head.
Beautiful.
End up
How
bleeding.
cool is that? So we're going to guess his name, his model, his colour.
Everything.
His ears.
Yeah, his blood type.
Because we're all out of Ferraris this week.
That's it. Right out the front. You sold mine yesterday.
We keep selling all the Ferraris in the cabinet, so we've come to the models.
PBR has been
Mix
very
it up a bit.
popular recently.
BBRs are phenomenal, aren't they?
So-
They're making some beautiful stuff.
Well, it is beautiful, right? So that's why people love it.
We had a bit of a gap last year because I don't think they could produce very much for
Did you
obvious
have the
reasons.
12? Did you ever have the 12 scale one?
The
Yeah.
12 scale have not made it here yet. So
We'll get it out when the boss is not looking.
Yeah.
That is like huge. It's really expensive.
Yeah.
Well, not expensive. I mean, I'm sure it's good value, but it's quite costly, and
Well, it's big. It's heavy.
it was probably like 10 kilos.
That
Super
is-
heavy.
it is a beautiful like 12 scale. So it's really
I think we should make
We'll
should make an appearance eventually.
Well, it's in a box though with things. It's probably not going to show very well on camera because we don't want to open that one.
It's all
No.
sealed
We'll
up.
make it
So
back.
this kind of stuff will need to be transported very carefully.
But if you make it into the shop, it is in the front cabinet, so you'll be able
Yeah.
to see just how
As you
beautiful
come
it is.
down the steps, it's in the glass cabinet on display,
Yeah.
and it is. It's really cool. What else are
Meanwhile,
we talking about?
Anthony is suggesting that this is called Astro Boy.
It is not Astro Boy. Astro Boy would be
That's my-
shocked to hear.
That's
looking
my
like
alter
this.
ego. Maybe that's how Astro Boy grew up. Didn't he have rocket legs?
He did. So Astro Boy had quite a bit of red and white. He was a robot boy that could
Yeah,
fly.
oh, he was a cartoon when I was a.
Yeah.
I was a
Right,
little
Yeah. But this is a bit different.
Did you ever know Astro Boy?
No.
He had hair
I'll have
similar
to
to
Google
yours.
him.
He had hair similar to yours.
Ah, cool.
Well,
Made with Milliput?
not with. Well, it could have been back then. Hey, can I talk about something that I know not much about, but
you
something
go.
that I love?
Got Astro Boy. I know now.
See, similar hair.
Yeah, that's it.
You can put the picture on scene.
All right, cool.
What is it?
This is a model from Meng, and this is 1/9 scale.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, I'm not really much of a model guy, but I love the content. I'm a bit of a motorbike nut, and this is a HP4, BMW HP4. Now, this was a very limited edition motorbike that they made back in 2017. They made 750 models of this worldwide. It was a very special, like, homologation model.
Just for racing.
Well, it wasn't road legal anywhere in the world.
Right. Okay. So yeah.
But a lot of people would very collectible.
Yeah.
750. It was really bespoke. It had a handmade carbon fiber frame, really lightweight carbon fiber wheels.
Yep.
Like 145 kilos wet.
Right.
But they refer to it as wet, but full of fuel,
Yep.
oils, and everything. And 220 horsepower,
Wow.
which was astronomical. Even now, 6 years later, there's not much that have come close to it.
Wow.
So, really special bike. And obviously, to commemorate this,
Yeah.
Meng have gone on and done a model of it.
Mm.
So yeah, 1/9 scale. So it's not the smallest. It's not the smallest model. Yeah, and when these were available in Australia. You could order them, and they were 115 to 120 grand.
Wow.
Not the models, the bikes.
Yes.
Wow.
So pretty
Oh,
expensive.
pretty impressive. I mean, you just look at the box art here, and you can see the carbon fiber. I wonder how they do the carbon fiber on the actual model. I wonder if there's decals or it's actually
Yeah.
molded in the
Yeah,
plastic.
there's decals.
Oh, there's decals.
Let's have a look. Do you want to have a look
yeah,
in there?
let's have a quick look.
Let's do a bit of an unboxing.
All right.
I'm not going to open everything, so it's going to be a bit rustly. I'm sure that you know a lot more about Meng than I do.
Well, Meng's a fairly high-class brand coming out of China. They do some very clean work, and it's interesting how they have a couple of different philosophies of how they make their kits. So Some of their armor type and
Really-
aircraft kits are really complicated and very small parts.
Yep.
When it comes up to cars and bikes, we've got a more Tamiya approach. So it's simplified, but they've still got a lot of detail within the actual molding.
Yeah, which is good. I suppose it makes assembly a little bit better for chimps like myself.
Trims.
You know.
Yep.
So this here, what we're looking at, these are the 4 little wheels from the race stand.
Yep.
So even that's really nicely detailed and stuff that goes on the race stand on the back of the bike.
It's actually a good size. It's not that as tiny as I thought it would
No.
be.
Yeah, so
So-
1/9 is really good because Protar used to do 1/9 scale bikes, and then they disappeared. And that was very much all the Italian bikes, and you never really got any of these sort of bikes
Yeah.
available.
Oh, look at the
The
chain.
chain and the sprockets.
Yep.
So it's quite big.
So you see how it's split there?
Yep.
This is very much a Tamiya type of innovation where they split the chain,
So you can
so
put
you
it
can
over the
poke it
swing arm.
through. Yeah.
Yep. Got the radiator castings,
Yep.
a oil cooler. Get a scope of the size of the engine is, the rocker cover there.
And what I love about
front of the
bikes
block.
is because the bikes are in this particular scale and you're building a lot of the components, it almost feels like you're building a real thing.
Yeah.
You get to learn about it quite intimately.
Here's the frame of the bike. So then the size and the wheels. And the wheels almost look comical compared to the size of the frame, but that's the those race bikes and modern bikes have quite small frames with the big underpinnings, long swing
It's got a
arms.
high gloss finish on it.
It does actually,
Trying
yeah.
to work out whether or not it's been painted or not.
Surely not.
No, it's just
Maybe.
highly polished.
It's very,
It's just
It's
highly
polished,
polished.
it's-
very clean mold actually.
Polished on this side, definitely way more gloss on this side compared to the back side.
Interesting.
Yeah, so not a great deal that we can see, the rear ducktail, but really clean mold and detail.
Yep.
Like I said, the content is really cool.
Oh, look at
Brakes.
the brakes
Look
are
at
in
it,
2
it's
bits.
So they're actually going to be 3 bits. So that's going to be the carrier, that's
Yep.
the hub, and
Yep.
there'll be a
And then
could
the
even
disc
be
itself.
etched. Maybe there's etched parts in there.
There's a little bit of. Oh, hang on. There's a bit of rubber. There's
That's
rubber for
vinyl.
the seat.
Yeah, vinyl for the seat.
Yep.
And
Any clear bits there.
it does have working suspension
Oh, there's the springs.
The springs and the tires.
springs. So it does have working. There's a little tiny springs for inside the fork and the
Yep.
large one for the rear.
Yep.
Comes with a little screwdriver.
Yep.
We've got little
Hosing.
hosing there to do
Yep.
your ignition leads
Oh,
and
huge
wiring.
huge set of decals for all
Wow,
the
that
cars.
is a lot considering.
Yeah,
Because that's multiple
Yeah.
sheets in here. There's 3 sheets.
yeah. So this is going to be a lot of the carbon, obviously,
Wow.
because the whole bike's going to be carbon wrapped effectively as you're assembling it.
So you just need to have a bit of practice with your decals. Just be a bit confident with those.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the badging is beautiful.
You have a couple of videos on how to install decals
We
on
do.
YouTube.
We
So
do, yes.
if you get to this, just have a look at those because there's definitely a technique there.
I can't finger the instructions.
Oh, look at
There's
that.
the brakes.
Oh, they are. They're photo etched.
So
Photo etched
photo
brakes.
etched. Can't
Yep.
see because of the
So
exposure.
they're in stainless steel, so they're quite thick. Might just be able to see
How am I
down
going
there.
to see that? Let's see
Bit
it in the
hard,
front
it's pretty-
camera. But yeah, so we do have stainless steel metal edge
Got heaps
brakes.
of screws,
Yep, that'll be to fasten the brakes and the wheels and probably the
the cowlings and things.
cowlings. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
So super cool, really cool, really special. And yeah, I dare say that they'll make more of these model kits than they do of the real bike.
Very good
And
point.
so they should be substantially cheaper too than 115,000.
It'll be $115.
So, look at
That
here.
is magnificent. So yeah, so you don't see me do much with model kits, but like I said, it's all about the content. And I love bikes, and
Yep.
it's a real special new release. It's just come in the store today.
Is that
I'm
brand new
impressed.
release this one?
It
Yeah.
is.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
great.
brand new release. Brand new.
That's really impressive. Really nice.
That's it.
Puts a lot of pressure on there to make it look good, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, doesn't it? I mean, particularly around, I mean, that's one of those things you would try to achieve as well. Just like on the aircraft with burnt titanium, you want to do the burnt titanium on the exhaust. Just gives it that little extra character. Nice.
How could
great.
you do a weathered texture on the tires? Is that
The
something
tyres?
you could do?
The tyres, you generally sand down.
Do you?
Yeah, because I'll have the seam line down the center, right, down the center here, and I'll sand it down with like a 120 grit up to a 240 grit,
Really?
and it gives it that road run finish.
Ah,
Then-
I know
then-
who's going to build my model.
I don't know what
Then
I'm
you need to use a millet part to do on the side there. The
The little balls of
little
rubber.
balls of rubber.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah.
So that would be really interesting. We saw that on the when we did the velodrome. Our cars are coming out with all this kind of rubber.
Have we
balls.
touched base on the velodrome yet?
Yes,
Talk a little bit.
we
Yeah.
talked a little bit, but
How fun was it?
It was brilliant.
Loved it.
I actually don't have all the cars are not here to show.
Oh, I haven't
God.
got my car in actually.
But yeah, so we got like close to 110 kilometers an hour,
Yep.
didn't we? So
And Tony did a really good job, didn't he? Tony Gray,
it's phenomenal.
organising it all.
It was formal enough to make it feel special, but
Yep.
casual enough just to be fun.
Absolutely.
You know, the races were really cool. A lot of cars, like I felt there was a lot more action on track this year compared to last year.
Yeah.
I felt last year a lot of the cars broke really quickly.
Really soon.
Yeah, there was a lot more action, wasn't there? So it wasn't just like a half lap and then off.
No.
They just kept on going.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there were like rounds of 3 or 4 minute races, which was
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
And then there was the speed runs, and then people played afterwards.
Absolutely.
It's really
So-
interesting. All three of us were in the same class.
Yes, large scale class,
Hmm.
which was really cool. Nick probably had there was Jack Engel was probably the fastest
He
in
was
the
the
Oh, that
class.
was mental.
His car was next level.
134 kilometers an hour,
Yeah.
8S powered, armor infraction,
Hmm.
modified like speed running gear.
And we think that he could get more out of it with a little
For
bit of
sure.
setup, probably a different body, still running
Probably
the
the-
stock body, which is probably the
Yeah.
most aerodynamic.
yeah,
It's like a brick.
yeah, it was like a flying ute, wasn't it? Like a
It's just-
flying brick.
We just need to convince him to fine tune that.
And
It'll
even
be-
put tires. I think it still had the factory tires.
yeah, so if you put some
we
GRPs,
should have put some
a big
GRPs on
design
it. for him.
body,
No, he said he had some
and-
GRPs on.
Did it?
I think
Because
he
he was
running
like
with the standard ones.
going to
Actually.
a corner, like he was having to stop to get it turned around,
Yeah.
and then just.
I think it's a handling thing. As in
Maybe.
just a setup on
I
the
think so
suspension.
too.
But the GT the Nick's GTE just made it easy.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
held it pinned and just.
You almost didn't even turn it. You had to turn to come out the corner, but you could
That's
actually
right.
go straight, and it would just
And
the
the-
banking would just bring it in.
Yeah.
Such a good feel.
And the buggy was really cool to see, the 8 scale buggy that we had.
It was
modified.
phenomenal.
And it was actually surprising how good the buggy was. Like I was even a bit, I thought this is going to go pear shaped or end up in the wall upside
And
down.
I'm sorry, I touched it, and I shaved 30mm of the shock towers.
Yeah.
And how did you do that? Driving it upside down.
Well, it was hard to understand which was the correct side because
Which
the
way?
wheels were
But bigger than
big
the
enough,
car, yeah.
bigger than the car, so I couldn't really understand quite
So
what was
Nick,
the top
Nick,
and
had
the bottom.
Nick had the opportunity to test it out. He flipped it and then drove along up straight back
It
upside
was
down,
actually gaining speed.
and then flipped it over. It was
Yep.
like a car that didn't need marshalling.
No marshalling.
BJ's car as well had the same thing. It would do backflips on the straight.
Yep.
Just randomly.
It was scary.
That was
great.
pretty cool.
That's great. Loved it.
Touched the wall a couple of times and
Yeah, still put it back out there.
that's right. Pop
Yeah.
it back together or put your screw back in, tighten up the wheel nut, off you go.
That's it.
What happened to the winner?
That was a beginning where I just put on the tires and they're just a little bit loose. And as we were going around, wow, it's going really good. And then suddenly it's 3-wheel drive. So that didn't work
But
out
it
so
looked
well.
cool.
It did
I
look
agree.
good.
And that's
No.
what it was all about. So great
Agree.
fun.
Found the wheel nut for it as well.
Yeah.
Traveling at 80 Ks. The wheel nut comes off.
And we found pieces of other people's car that we can put back on your car.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Anyway, good, really good event. So thank you for those that have organized it, first of all,
Yeah.
and also those
All
that
those-
attended.
Yeah, well,
Really,
we were blessed with beautiful weather.
Absolutely.
We did a little show from
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Which was cool. It wasn't a long show, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Got to see some dedicated cars. and
broken
just
cars.
Some broken cars and some people having fun.
That's
And
it.
that's what RC is about.
Yeah.
I suppose leading that, I suppose the biggest thing to come up. We want to talk about this one?
We have a solution.
Have you got a solution?
Already.
And
Have
you
we got
would
it?
not be able to guess who actually has the solution.
Who's got the solution?
I put it on screen here. So Simon, our good friend Simon, studio. I think he spelled it Julie. He actually
Yeah.
spelled it correctly after it. And the movie's called Castle in the Sky. Is it?
So that's what he does all day. He just strokes the cat, glues up tires,
And watch movies.
and watch anime.
So this is a different kit, but this is the same animation.
Well, that's false advertising.
So it's actually called Laputa. That's the name of the floating city. And yes, it's Castle in the Sky. And these are the two characters again. So,
Well
I
done.
don't know if anyone can pick the names of the characters. That takes a bit more Google searching to find that. But that's the robot. So this is when both of these characters land on the castle that's floating around the sky, and they meet the robot. And they don't know what the robot's at. There's robots everywhere, and most of them are just lying down, covered in moss. And this one walks up to them and gives them a flower, because that's the one that's actually cutting the grass and everything, looking after the place.
Really?
But they're actually battle robots.
Battle robot.
Yeah, and that's why that particular city doesn't have any more inhabitants, because they all got killed from the robots, and they had nothing to do and sat down and had moss growing on. As you do.
That's it.
Yep.
It sounds like the sort of thing that Simon would watch.
I think so too. Now, meanwhile, there is another question.
Yes.
Johnny's asking.
Oh my God, yes.
What's that?
Between the Tamiya VQS and the Super Avanti,
Yeah.
which one is we recommend has the high fun factor?
Fun factor.
Well, the VQS, the Tamiya VQS is a re-release,
Yes,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's no getting away from the fact that it's a 30-year-old car.
absolutely.
The Super Avanti, you mentioned the Super Avanti or the old Avanti?
Super Avanti.
The
Super Avanti.
So it's a new one.
is a brand new release.
That's right.
And I suppose that's exciting in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
That brings a level of exciting. Like it's got these front shock absorbers that swing up out
Go on,
the
right
way
over there.
to change your.
Yes.
It's got this cool inboard suspension.
Yep.
Um,
So you can see from the designs of it, even the designs of the suspension arms. So it's got very much of a more modern race type feel to it, but it's got the retro, I guess the funkiness. Like you got your inboard shocks.
funkiness. Bringing funky to the table.
Yeah, did I say something wrong?
No.
Because you got the inboard shocks, right? And it was back in those days, as a kid looking at the 1980s kits, it's like, oh wow, look at that. You know, it's got these double wishbone suspension, oil filled shocks. Yeah, that's right, mono shock. And then this has got that sort of wow factor. Like, how do they do that? Like, it's got the cantilevered shocks, center mounted. You got standard ones at the back. So it actually has the handling as well as that sort of vintage retro funky thing about it. It's
got
part
that
of the magic.
To me, it's got mud flaps, mud guards.
Yeah, it's a bit different.
Mud
Isn't
guards over the thing.
Yeah.
So they've really gone to creating something new.
Yes.
And that in itself makes it exciting.
I agree.
Yeah.
How fun it is, I don't know. I've never played with one. Although there was chat that we might build one up.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait till Nick's not looking. Every time he turns around.
There's a new cabin built.
Don't tell him.
That's it.
So as opposed to
This
the
one.
VQS.
So that's our exclusive one that we put together.
Yep.
That was fun to build. So if you don't know, the VQS has actually got the base of an Avanti. Okay, so that's where this is a tribute type model. This was actually based on the original Avanti. So this is a plastic version, being
Like a cheaper, more practical model.
well, it's more practical, definitely more practical, because as cool as the Avanti was with all the multi-link suspension, it was quite easy for it to come loose, break, and be out of alignment because you had to build the arms.
Too.
Yes, they're expensive. So there's a black version coming out. That's going to be $1,000,000. It's all carbon. Still got an original one that's on the shelf. This one's quite a bit more affordable. And if you think about the arms, these are actually the arms that came on the Aggress. So they were plastic type arms. So the Aggress was the top of the range, Avanti, I guess you'll call it. So it's like a hybrid between the two.
Yeah, between an Avanti.
Avanti and an Aggress.
But it is effectively a 30-year-old or
It is, yeah.
the late
That's it.
80s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they'll both be fun cars. They're both four-wheel drive,
Yes,
10-scale buggies.
that's it. Yeah.
Very similar in architecture as far as the wheels and tires combination, what they
Yep.
run.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's a brand new
Brand new kit.
2021 release.
21.
Time goes so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, 21,
Whereas
I
this
see.
is a re-release.
So how do we pick between the two? I don't know how you could pick.
So
Wait,
different.
hey,
So
Tony, why don't you just get both of them? If you get both of them,
It's
then
like
you
trying
won't
to
have
choose
any
your favorite child. Isn't it your
All right.
favorite cat?
I think you made the decision. Super Avanti is. Well
Super
done.
Avanti it is.
That's it.
problems. There you go.
Great.
Yeah, that said, we're also going to do some work on this one, aren't we?
Yeah, well, there's not
These are
much more to
limited
go.
edition, really. It's
Yeah.
finished.
No, but we're going to package it up. And
Oh,
we're gonna,
yeah.
We're going to announce this one.
Yes.
If we hadn't already, I'm not sure if you had
Yep.
already.
No, we've announced that we're going to sell this, so it's practically ready to go.
Yep.
We just need to make sure we box it up nice, and then it's going to have a certificate in it as well.
Absolutely.
Oh,
With our
101.
3 signatures on it.
Yep.
And it's going to be boxed up nice, box band.
Yep.
And this is going to be effectively sold ready to run.
That's right.
It's got the FlySky GT5 radio. It's
Yes.
got the Dash 21.5 fitted in it.
Outlaw.
Outlaw, yeah.
Yeah, super
It's
quick.
got a nice servo horn. It's got the highest 550 servo in it.
Yep.
Customized and built. And it's going to be one of our 75th anniversary commemorative models.
Limited edition, 101.
Yep.
One of one.
That's
so
it.
really hoping that goes to a lovely home. Be even good to see it at the Vintage Bash running
Yes.
around.
Oh, that'll be ace,
wow.
wouldn't it?
You know.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you check the wheel nuts in case BJ's done them.
What did you
Because
want
someone
to say?
already checked the car I built, and there were quite a few screws that had to be tidied up.
You trying to say I don't check my nuts?
No, I wouldn't say that about you, mate.
Now, we have Simon giving the names to these to the people.
Oh, he's been busy.
So
All right.
one is Shita.
Okay, Sheeta is a girl. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's true. It's true.
I know it's the sort of thing that he'd say.
And one is Puza. Puza?
Pazu.
Pazu.
Pazu. Yep.
Paza.
All right. Very well.
Good.
Very, very good.
Wow. Impressive, Simon.
Yep.
Man of many skills. Okay, it surprises me.
We
on
know
the
what to
daily.
get him for his birthday now.
That's right.
Yeah.
How about one of these?
That's it. One of those. Cool. Now,
What else have we got on? We're going to talk.
Rob has a question. We'll run so that Rob later maybe send us a message on Facebook specifically. We can measure and respond to you.
Yep.
Cool. What's next?
We're going to talk about hot racing inserts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot to talk about. Let's bring everything across.
So we talked about it at the start about how inserts are an important part of
Excuse
tyres,
me for a second.
particularly for racing. But I think a lot of people don't realise how different they can be
Yes.
and what the differences can do.
So let's put a top camera straight away because there's going to be a lot of showing. So fundamentally, there's two types of inserts. You have traditional open cell,
Yep.
which is what we used for many, many years.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, maybe 7-8 years ago, I'm guessing maybe around that time, we start producing the closed cell, which is a different technology. They are a lot more firm.
Yep.
And they last a lot longer because
Yep.
these white open cell foam ones, they tend to disintegrate very quickly.
They
No.
were generally, I think, the open cell one was just sort of invented, or at its inception was just to last the life of the tire.
That's right.
Yep.
True that.
So, and every tire you bought had the inserts.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we generally wouldn't reuse them.
Correct.
You know, back then, you know, we used to get a little bit longer. The cars weren't as high powered.
Yes.
There wasn't as much traction on the tracks. The tracks were a bit looser.
Yep.
So I think tire wear wasn't so much. So you
Mm.
would actually get more batteries and more life.
That's
and
right.
the more life you get, the more that the foam degrades.
Yes.
Especially if you're running a slow class, like you could seriously have like one pair of rear tires on your buggy for like 3 or 6 months if you're just
Yes,
running 540
absolutely.
class.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't need to put new tires on every 3 runs.
But then there's another aspect. All the racing tracks have become a lot more looked after, so they're a lot cleaner.
Yep.
Yep.
So with a softer tire, you get a lot more traction, but they
Yes.
start catching
Yeah.
and then be hard to drive. So they start moving to this closed cell insert, which is
Yeah.
a lot firmer.
And they're shaped.
And it's shaped. So whether this is square,
Yep.
this is, as you can see, it's got a bit of a shape.
Bit of a shape and a bit of a profile to it.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean you can't alter them either.
Exactly. correct.
So you can sand them down, you can shape them, you can a really common trick with your closed cell inserts to turn them inside out and to cut a V
Yes.
into it.
Yep.
And all that's effectively doing is it's like changing the tire pressure in your car.
Yep.
And although we don't change it in our normal street cars very often, in racing and competition, tire pressure is
The common
super
practice, yeah,
critical.
absolutely.
Super critical. So we don't obviously have tire pressures to play with in our RC cars,
Yep.
but we have inserts to play with, which emulates that.
And I guess the reason we're touching on this is because recently with these hot race tires, they don't give you the inserts. So they give you the
Yes.
opportunity of putting in either open cell. If
Yeah.
you have a very loose track, you can go, and rough, you can go open
Yeah,
cell.
absolutely.
Then you can choose any other manufacturing insert, like these are AK or this one a sweep.
Yep.
To get different performances.
And you can even go to the extent of measuring your insert.
Absolutely.
So you can put it on over the wheel, and you can feel if there's an air gap,
Yep.
or if there's a distance between. An air gap means the distance between the carcass of the rubber and the face of the
That's right.
insert. So how tight the insert is, and that will generally give you a little bit of movement in the tire.
That's
a little
right.
bit forgiving. So it will generate a little bit more temperature in the rubber.
Yep.
But make it a little bit more forgiving. Give you a little bit more contact patch. So there's a real black art in tuning your tire inserts the
That's
way
right.
you like them.
So when you start looking at different inserts, even if they're all for the same type of cars, 110
Yep.
scale buggies, there is a massive difference. So I'm measuring this AK one here. There's about 81 millimeter.
81 millimeter diameter.
Okay. So now I'm going to remove this one and put on the sweep, which we're finding that works extremely well with a hot race tire
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, the sweet work. What we've tried so far in the Sahara tread the Tahara tire from Hot Race over at Keilor.
So as you can see, now I don't know whether you can see the gap, but there is a substantial gap actually.
Was it like 5 mil?
Maybe 5 mil. So let's
4?
go. So we are looking at about 79 millimeters. So it's a 3 or 4 millimeter difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, given the size of this, it's huge.
Yeah.
So
And even then, the insert itself feels different. You know what I mean? Like it's one's softer, one's harder.
Yes.
Not just different colors.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can put that onto a drill attachment or
Yep.
a tire sanding tool, and you can sand the profile and the shape of the insert to suit your needs or what
I
you're
guess
chasing.
you know if you shave say a millimeter or so, then you'll increase this gap again.
Yes,
And it'll
there
be
you go.
different. Now, as you were suggesting, the shape. If you compare these two, so the AK is a lot more round.
Yep.
But this is very flat.
Yep.
So again, will be a very different type.
different feel and
Feel.
different, yeah.
What you can do if you put it on the drill, like Brett suggested, you can lower some of the external ribs here, and again come back to that that shape. So lots of options. So even from a width perspective, this is about 38, 30, almost 40 millimeter in width. The AK is actually a bit narrower. Interesting. It's just a millimeter
Oh, so
narrower.
overall
Yeah.
diameter is higher, but it's
Yeah,
narrower.
It's a
It's
little bit narrower.
So
Yeah.
so then again, it's going to feel the tire
Differently.
differently.
It's going to feel the tire differently.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
and then you can put this as the insert that comes with some of the range of the Hot Race tires.
That's right.
So you can put that in, and it's effectively going to be over full, but you can stuff it in the tire and glue it up, so it's very full, but it's also very soft.
So this one, yeah.
Yeah. So if you go for a closed cell insert,
Yeah.
and it doesn't look like it fits into the tire, but once you've got it on the wheel and your
Yeah.
tire band's on, you can glue it up,
Yeah.
and it's going to give a real soft, spongy feeling,
That's
Can you
right.
see how
as
it's sort
opposed
of,
to
how it's sitting there? It's sort of,
yeah. So it
It's a
looks
bit
like it doesn't
bulbous.
fit, but once you've got it in,
yeah, it'll
Let me
squeeze.
remove quickly this one. As you can see the difference. So this sits in perfectly.
yeah.
This one is gonna. It's just.
And then you can cut these ones as well.
and
yeah,
you can
you know
cut
what I
them.
mean?
Yeah,
And you don't necessarily put that in a drill to cut them. You might just do it with your scissors.
that's right.
So
Remember,
they're
people
different
used to shape
shapes.
the edges here, right?
Yeah.
Cut the edges off.
Yeah.
Even
Again,
inside.
If you cut the edge, this corner here, or the edge is gonna
Just there.
be a bit softer,
Yeah.
or a bit firmer, depending which way you go.
Yeah.
And again, once you are cornering, obviously the feel
The
is gonna be
tire
different.
moves around, and you can
Yeah.
see photos or slow motion of these cars
When it's
getting around.
just really deformed.
The tire's deformed and all over the place.
Yeah.
So really does act like air within the tire.
That's
right.
right.
And holds it up and gives you a different feel. So yeah, it gives you endless tuning
Absolutely.
options.
Again,
And they're reusable. These ones are reusable. These closed cell inserts you can keep using for
several
tires
times.
and tires over. So it's really good that Hot Race, because we never used to be able to buy tires without it.
Correct.
And these are quite costly. I want to say like $10 a pair.
That's
something like that, $11 a pair.
Yep.
So that adds to the cost of the tires.
Hmm.
So whereas a tire might be $37.99 or something a pair with
Yep.
the inserts.
Yep.
Obviously just a raw tire without the insert is going to be
That's right.
substantially cheaper,
Absolutely.
and gives you the opportunity of tuning and using them
That's right.
without having to have bags and bags of inserts over, reusable inserts that you can't use or you don't use because you get new ones every time.
Absolutely. So
Yeah, so that's some of the 110 hot race range.
Hmm.
We've touched on it before. Yeah, we've got 2 treads, we've got 3 compounds,
that's right.
and the 4-wheel drive front is working really well on the 2-wheel drive.
That's it.
And the only difference that we make is we use on the 2-wheel drive wheel, we'll use a 2-wheel drive front insert within that tire.
Yeah.
And then we use the same tire, but we use the 4-wheel drive front insert on the 4-wheel drive front wheel.
Okay.
Very
And
interesting.
that's all within the same tire,
Right.
Okay.
and that's how you get it to sit nicely on the wheel.
Yep.
But yeah,
Okay.
it's early days yet. We've only had like 2 sessions at the track testing.
Yep.
So like any product development and testing, I mean, that's half the fun.
That's right. I
you
agree.
know? And with live timing and our transponders and stuff, it's really quite challenging. It's
Agree.
really quite a good part of the hobby that you can test yourself at. You're not racing anybody. You can just spend the time at the track, and you can analyze your data and your lap times
Absolutely.
as much or as little as you want.
That 100%.
You know, so some people it's just their ambition is just to go out there and run around, the track until their battery goes flat.
That's right.
Without having to get off the driver's
That's
stand
right.
and pick their car up.
Yep.
Some people, they're going for the last 10th of a second.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You know? So they'll do 5-minute time sessions so they don't overheat anything, and they want to get their top 5 average laps, their top 10 average laps.
And see what feels better. Because
See what
sometimes
feels better.
maybe it's lower but more consistent. So, as we say, once we start playing with inserts, it makes a big difference from a car being very edgy,
Yeah.
Yep.
or from being really easy and forgiving.
Yeah. So
lots
that's
of
really
options.
cool. So that leads me to the next point about performance machines.
Performance
Performance
machines.
machines.
I've lost it.
All right, there's no performance machine, so let's park this stuff.
Right. So while Brett's lost it, oh, hang on, you're back.
Yeah, I was back that quick. High
Wow.
performance machines.
Oh, look at that.
I can't wait to do insert testing once I get the hexes done.
Yes,
Do some inserts and do some real analysis.
On this,
that's it. I think performance will be there no matter what.
The
world
good
champ.
thing about getting the frog on the track is it should go for about 40 minutes.
Yeah,
And
you can do as
nothing-
much testing
And
as
I
you
don't
want.
think anything will get hot.
That's it.
No, the reason I bring it, we've all seen this before, and
Mm.
it's really cool. We've actually been sort of too busy to do much work on it in the studio
That's
this
it.
week, but we got some cool flags. That's why I'm showing this here.
So what are these flags?
These flags are for the Hearns Hobbies Vintage Bash.
That's it.
Our good friend Jeff up at JSpec has come to the party.
Let's
good.
pop the top camera so we can actually have a good look at those.
Have a good look at these.
Here we go.
So we've got them on the car. So this is our big sticker sheet. And now every car at the Vintage Bash, it's going to have these on as a prerequisite.
That's right.
And that's to add to the fun.
I agree.
So all cars are going to be required to have an antenna tube.
Yep.
Because that's really part of what the car's, even if you don't have it, like this one's not going
Yep.
to have an antenna up there.
Yep.
And this car's actually going to help save the back wing, hopefully,
Yes.
when we put it when I keep putting it
It sort of
upside
brings
down.
back memories though, doesn't it? Because
It
we used
does.
to run flags on our cars when we were
And
racing.
why did we used to use flags, Beach?
So we could tell which car was crossing the line for lap counting.
Which car was crossing the line for lap counting? And I believe that a little bit before my time, but I believe that there was stakes on the track like every 20 meters.
Right.
And when the 5-minute buzzer went off, you
Yeah.
had to stop your car.
And then wherever you are on the track.
Wherever you are on the track. So
Oh,
they
then
could
they
count
measure
it.
back.
You did 10 laps and 3 flags.
Oh.
And the one who did the most distance
Yeah.
during the 5-minute
We'll win.
would win.
Right.
This is before the personal transponders,
Yeah,
the live timing,
And all that.
computers, alley cat,
Yep.
all that sort of stuff. So so that's the way they used to do it. So the Vintage Bash, we're not going to be using. There's no way that anybody wants to go back to that.
Yeah.
And the timing, I think, is going to be pretty loose.
Yeah.
With some cars not even being timed.
Yep.
But the flags are going to be just real iconic
Yeah, for sure.
and going to add to the fun value.
Nice little touch there.
Brilliant.
And while we were having the stickers made, we also had these ones done. You guys will see them when we get them done onto the car. So this is to replicate, obviously, what Tamir's done. And we're going to put it onto the frog.
Yep.
We're going to put these on this next week.
Yep.
Going to paint up the driver figure.
Yep.
And hopefully get it to the track before long.
For sure.
That's what we're really hoping to do. And that's J-Spec and the Vintage Bash. So
Looking forward
really
to it.
coming together. Yeah, there's
Should
going to
be
be a lot of
really
hype
good.
about that.
I agree.
There's going to be a lot of racing in between now and then with our 10th scale stuff and 8th
There
scale
will be.
stuff. Everybody's trying to get a whole heap done before winter.
Yeah.
So there's just about racing everywhere every weekend.
And-
So
So there's
Isn't
a
it?
huge buzz on off-road. So 1.8 and 1/10 off-road this year it's the go, really.
yeah, well, we didn't even talk about, I know we touched on the velodrome.
Yep.
So the car that we ran around the velodrome, the buggy with the big modified wheels on Saturday afternoon, that was racing around the track 8 a.m. On Sunday at the buggy track. And that car was so versatile, the HB Racing E819 RS. So all I did was change the pinion,
Yep.
put the off-road tires
Yep.
back on, turn the turbo down on the speed controller, and reset the droop settings on the suspension.
That's it.
And that was it. So really went from 109 kilometer an hour car to, we don't even measure speed.
You
but
don't
it went
measure
from
speed. Probably
launching
about
at
50,
3
60 at the most,
yeah,
really.
launching at 3 meters in the air, cartwheeling and kicking dirt up all day.
Pretty
And
versatile.
it did it faultlessly. And I wasn't the fastest on the day, but that wasn't the car's fault. I
That's
can
it.
tell you right now. But it was up there mixing it.
That's it.
We're in the top 5, so
Yep.
we did really well. And that was the Hearns Hobby, the EMCC Cup. We had
Indeed.
people come over. We had Mark Lawler come over from South Australia, one of our team drivers.
Yep.
We had Max Ricker, who took out Nitro Buggy Pro.
Winner. Yes.
So in his HB D819 RS, we had Alan and Sam right
Yep.
at the front winning the
Truggy.
truggy class.
Yes.
So it was really good. Daniel come fourth.
See,
He was in earlier. He come
yeah.
fourth in his first time out with his
after
e-buggy.
many years.
Many years off. So it was really good. We had like 50 guys there. It was a really good meeting. So racing, if you're not familiar, it can sound daunting or can be intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, but come
I
down,
agree.
say hello, and get involved.
It's good fun.
Like
for
I
sure.
said, a couple of weeks
Absolutely.
ago, we had the Bullet rolling around with, you know, I
That's
think
cool.
the Vintage Bash is going to bring out a lot.
Mm,
We've got
yeah.
the comical car to get out.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not all tire warmers and lap times.
Performance.
You know, it's all about
Yeah.
fun.
Are we,
Um,
I
are
agree.
we putting tire warmers on this?
we can.
I'll make a special one for the front ones.
We can. We had tire warmers on BJ's car at the Velodrome.
Made a big difference.
They didn't it?
Massive
It
difference.
really did.
Now, before we finish up,
Yes.
here, you're going to build an e-truggy. Is that true?
And
Hey,
an
Truggy.
e-truggy.
I don't know. Someone here is asking about your e-truggy.
Where is it?
Wow.
Wow.
Where is it?
Where is
Yeah,
it?
e-truggy. It's in a box. Well,
The e-truggy is picking up in Victoria too, but look
and it
over
has.
here.
And it has. So a close friend of ours, Nick Lewis, was
Yes.
actually on the phone earlier. And he's asking if we were going out to Mork this weekend racing.
Ah,
And I said, no, I'm actually having a weekend off racing
Mm,
to avoid any sort of divorce or legal action from my wife.
yes.
So, you know, but yeah, so the e-buggy that we raced last week, both at Velodrome and has actually found a new home.
Yep.
He's joined the team. Jason Drew is back in
Okay.
8 scale.
fantastic.
So it's left a big buggy-shaped hole in my heart. All I've got left is a body and a wing.
That's
And,
a sad memory almost. That's
yeah,
it.
that's right. That's all I've got left. So what do I do, guys? Do I build up an e-truggy
Well,
In
that'll fit on the truggy.
in the fledgling class, or do I get back to
That's a
e-buggy?
that looks like a bit of barbecue action from
So
Velodrome.
that's the
From the big
Velodrome.
tires,
That's
yeah.
a good memory actually.
Yeah. So
And
it,
then, yeah, look at
it
this.
actually took big chunks out of the rear wing.
Look at this. Oh,
It
sorry. this
wore
way.
it down. I don't have another one here next to it.
That's
to
huge.
try.
Look at the sticker. It was obviously all
Yeah,
full
yeah.
before.
So it was
So we were going
We've
from
lost-
dash to da.
from quite a bit of wing that we've lost from the big wheel because the wheel
this.
was
And definitely you can see the black here.
and the
So-
buggy wheels actually fit. Like the big wheels that I had on it, the basher wheels fit straight over the buggy wheels on the bench.
That was amazing.
That
I
was
saw you
funny.
do that before.
Yeah. So I don't know, guys. What do I build? Do we build an e-truggy? Do we build an e-buggy?
Cool.
We can
Well,
leave it up to the viewers. I don't know.
think so.
Yeah, let's see
That's the
what
question.
people
We
want.
can leave
That's the
it. We
question.
can see what people want to see. Because I'll do
Absolutely.
a YouTube. We can build it in the studio. You know,
Anything.
like I said, when Nick's not looking, we'll get another kit out the box and
Yep.
build it up.
I had a funny feeling they'll be not looking for a while, but we'll see that.
All right, guys.
Very good. So
Thanks for having me. Are we
Nice.
going to close the show
I
down,
think
or
we
we got
are
more to go on
closing the
with?
show.
What
No,
we're
I think
gonna
that's
do.
about it. Really.
That's it.
We're going to say goodbye.
I think so. So we're ready for a weekend. It'll be a
We're
relaxing
ready for a
weekend for you.
Well, we've got lawns to do, cars to wash.
Here's mine too. Oh, both my car and my lawn needs to be done too. Thank you. Thank you for offering.
Going to have to BJ's for a big old barbecue.
Big.
Yep. 50 people, isn't it?
Wasn't expecting that many, but I mean, if you spread it around, it may be.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Lovely weekend, guys.
back next Friday, same time.
Yes.
Same bat channel, same bat time.
That's
Absolutely.
it. That time.
And we're going to maybe have another car.
Like that. Like a car like
Yeah, who knows?
the Diorama car.
Let's see what we
All
can
right,
do.
then.
We'll see.
Everyone, thank you for joining us. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thanks,
you
guys.
next
Thanks
week.
for watching.
Bye-bye.